Hey everybody, this is Bill. I'm by myself today. Deb is working inside the trailer on something that's fairly important, so we're just going to leave her alone. And I just wanted to take a brief moment here to answer a quick question that we had in our comments here lately. As you can see, it's starting to cloud up though. Maybe you can see that, I don't know. But they're also talking about more storms later this afternoon and into the evening. So in a way, this is a perfect time to answer this question that one of our followers asked us. It comes from Big Joe, and Joe, I want to say right quick that we really appreciate all of your comments. He comments regularly on our videos, which tells us that he watches our videos, and we really appreciate that. But he says, question, you have solar panels. When you are looking for a campsite, do you look for a sunny or shady campsite? What do you prefer? Well, I guess, Joe, the simple answer to that is we really don't prefer either one. It really doesn't matter that much. Now, as most of you know, we mostly stay at Corps of Engineer campgrounds. Right now we're in a state park here in Oklahoma, but even in state parks and Corps of Engineer campgrounds, 99% of them that we stay at are going to have power at the site. So most of the time, because of where we stay and travel at this moment, is we're going to be plugged in. However, there have been times where we've lost power at the campgrounds for one reason or another. In fact, a prime example of that is when we were down at southern Arkansas at Rising Star Campground, and a big storm rolled in, high winds and all that kind of stuff, and for a little bit we lost power. Well, the really neat thing about it is, because our battery bank stays charged up almost all the time, because about the only thing that runs off of the battery bank around the clock, and that's only when we have them on, is of course our lighting system and our pumps, which would be either our freshwater pump or the pump we use in the shower to pump the gray water from the shower, as we've explained in the past, up into the gray tank, which is underneath the bed. And we've done videos about that, but if people have more questions about that particular setup, we'll be happy to cover that in another video. But most of you already know that we have 800 watts of solar on top of the van. We have a 24-volt system. We built our own battery out of 8 individual cells to make a 24-volt battery. And when you consider 24 volts, it is actually a 270 amp hour battery at 24 volts. But remember, watts is watts is watts. So if you want to break it down and do the math, it will be equal to a 540 amp hour system if it's a 12 volt system. Because in the end, watts is watts is watts, and watts is simply when you multiply volts times amps. That is watts. So that's what our battery bank is equal to. Now, while we're plugged in, yes, the panels do work a little bit, even though we're in the shade. And right now, you can tell, if you look at our trailer there, you can see that most likely we're not getting very much sun, especially because it's clouded up right now. But those panels, usually, even though they bring in very, very little in a situation like this, they're still helping to keep the battery bank topped off, because we don't use that much off of the battery bank when we're plugged in. In addition to that, we also have a charger in the system, and when we're plugged in, the charger is working as well as the solar panels. Now, in addition to that as well, we also have 2 200-watt panels on top of the van, and I'm sure that you're looking at that right now. And yes, even though I'm seeing it for the first time, and actually I'm not seeing it for the first time, I'm seeing it as you see it. So I'm going to hazard a guess right now that they're pretty filthy and they need to be cleaned off. So, but when conditions warrant it, we can also plug the panels from the van into the trailer. We actually have a receptacle, an output receptacle on the van. It's an SAE plug on the van, a chassis mount, and we have an SAE plug inlet on the trailer, and we have a separate charge controller mounted within our battery bank that utilizes the panels off of the van. Now, eventually I plan on adding 2 more panels on top of the van, which will give us a total of 800 watts of solar on top of the van. So there are situations where later down the line, let's say if we did park the trailer in the shade and we are trying to depend on our battery bank, we can pull the van out where it gets a better view of the sun and plug the van into the trailer, and what little bit the panels are bringing in off of the trailer, coupled with the more power that we'd be bringing in off of the panels on the van, you can see that we would still be able to augment the system pretty well. What's nice about that, even when we are plugged in most of the time, and we mentioned it a little bit ago, and I'll mention it again, when the power goes out, we don't lose power, because our battery bank is topped off most all the time, or you know, within 95 to 100% of being on the top. So all we have to do is turn on the inverter and we have power. Now, the advantages of that as well is, you know, we're not going to lose our internet. We're going to be able to keep all of our items charged up, like our phones and things like that, so we can continue to monitor the weather, and we know what's fixing to happen, you know, or have a pretty good idea what's going to happen, you know, and if we need to, you know, take further measures in order to protect ourselves. So that's the neat thing about it. Now, eventually, yes, we do intend to do some serious boondocking down the road, and our whole idea with doing what we're doing, and the fact that we're going to add 2 more panels on top of the van, is to prepare ourselves for the time when we do strongly consider doing something like that. So these will be things that we'll be doing down the road. The one thing that bothers me right now is with the panels setting on top of the van, you know, they're making power all the time, but unless if we're plugged into the trailer, the power isn't going nowhere. It's not of no benefit, you know. So what we're also looking into doing as well is adding a smaller battery bank to the van that we could utilize for other things, and maybe having an A/B switch, so we could switch from you know, the battery power in the van, switch it over to where the panels then would charge the trailer, rather than, you know, keep charging the battery in the van. But keep in mind too that the panels on the van are working all the time, so if we had a smaller battery bank in the van, anytime we're driving down the road, anywhere we're going, those panels will be working for us if we have a way to go ahead and harness that power. So we're considering several different options on that, from a small battery bank to maybe even a battery bank that equals this one that's in the trailer. And if we did that, what we might do is, and we're considering these things, if we did that, what we might do is put a 30 amp outlet on the side of the van that we could literally plug into the trailer, you know, and, you know, run the battery bank down in the trailer, then turn around and switch over to that. There's all kinds of things that we are considering here. We've just got to figure what we feel like will be the best for us. So anyway, I hope this answers your question, Joe, and keep those comments coming, keep those questions coming. We'll be happy to keep you guys filled in on that kind of stuff and let you know what's going on. So far, we're really enjoying our stay here. We've got one more day of iffy weather tonight, and then after that, we're supposed to have really pretty weather for the remainder of our stay here at this particular campground. After we leave here, we'll be headed back to Northwest Arkansas for 2 more weeks to wrap up a few things, you know, more doctor's visits and, you know, just odds and ends stuff. Got a little project I'm hoping I can tackle while we're back in Arkansas with the trailer, and we'll talk more about that later. And then we start headed towards where the rendezvous is going to be in Greenville, Missouri. And as the day goes by, each day goes by, we're getting more and more excited about that. So anyway, for now, we're going to let you go, though. This is Bill, minus Deb. She's in the trailer working right now. But you know exactly what we always say. We're not camping, we are living. So you guys get out there and do some living. And we'll talk to you again soon. Bye-bye now.